45 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I talk fast. We're good.
We're good. We're
We got
live,
this.
baby.
Hello.
Joe, man. How's that mic look?
Mike, it looks pretty good.
Looks good.
I
Like
know.
you big strong man.
Yeah, it's been
Looking
too long.
good, man. You lost some weight,
I
dude.
did,
You
yeah.
look good, man.
During the whole COVID thing.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where it makes or break you, right?
Yeah, it really does.
It's either going to make you lose a bunch of weight or make you gain a bunch of weight.
Yep, basically.
Yeah, dude. So, you got some projects coming up.
I do, yeah. 2020 is like the worst time to be into movies, right? It's honestly kind of awful because it's really hard to, get a crew together and actors because it's going to be over 10 people, and a lot of actors just don't want to do that because
Right.
they're very scared of COVID,
For sure.
And I'm like, what if they're not comfortable with it? I don't want to,
They're not
point
gonna
a gun
push
to
it.
them and be like, get on my set and
Right.
make my damn
Get on
movie.
my set
Yeah.
now!
So it's like, kind of what I've been doing to, combat that is I've just been working on the scripts for the projects I want to do next year. So it's like, I was going to shoot a short film this year called Vi. It didn't happen.
Right.
I tried to shoot it again this year. People didn't want to do it because of COVID. And I was like, all right, then I'm going to take the time to buff up the script and we're going to tackle it, next
Right.
year. Do you have any questions about that movie, Luke?
Man, no, because honestly, I don't like asking too much about your
Okay.
films unless I'm gonna help be a part of it.
Help be a part of it.
Because
Okay.
I want it to be a surprise
Yeah.
when I see it. Because when I watch your movies, Joe,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, Joe, you did that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and you always tend to surprise me with,
Okay.
and even if I am a part of the movie, like
Yeah.
for example, Monsters.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I'm like, oh man, he did.
Yeah.
Some editorial decisions you made that I'm surprised by, and I
Yeah.
love. You always
gotcha.
surprise me, so that's why I usually don't ask too much.
Yeah. And
But what is the project about? What is the film about?
I've been very quiet about it on social media because
Okay,
I'm like,
Understandable.
it's a very simple title, it's just a V and a Y, and it's like I haven't put out a plot synopsis or anything. We actually shot like a teaser for the movie, like a 4-minute scene from the script, right? Just to sort of go, here's the visual tone, here's what this guy's performance is going to be like, here's kind of what the music is going to, just to kind of like tease people a little bit, even though it doesn't say anything about the movie. But it's sort of like my take on like the 70s romance genre with like a twist or two in it and some horror elements in it. A few Quentin Tarantino-esque elements in there, but
Always.
that's kind of the pitch, I guess, is I was like, Monsters, not the most heartfelt movie, and I was like, for my next one, I want to do something that's a little bit more heartfelt, but it has sort of like my edge to it, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I've seen your movie, so I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about. When you say 70s romance, what movie? Like, give me an example of what you're trying to aim for.
Putting me on the spot, I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to reach for one, I just can't right now.
Like an old
I know.
Tom Hanks
I can
movie.
talk about movies I'm trying to make it look like, though. Yeah. Like,
Well, right.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So like Robert Richardson, right, the guy who shoots all the Tarantino movies, sort
Right.
of how he has that weird spotlight over everyone at all times. The
Yeah, I
halo
know.
you see in a lot of old movies,
Right.
such as like Casablanca and stuff.
Right.
So it's like Monsters, I was like, using texture, using, dark lighting, silhouettes, that kind of thing. And I'm like, for the next one, we're going with like the exact opposite,
Right, brightening it up a little
brighten
bit.
it up. Everyone sort of has like a weird sort of glow to them,
Right, a
and it's
warmness.
exactly,
What-
yeah.
So when you say glow, are the personality? Obviously, the personalities are going to be a lot more
Yeah.
lovable in these films.
Just a bit.
Just
Not
a bit.
really,
Oh,
though.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
not
See, I
really.
like that.
Nah, it's like, I guess I'll tell you what kind of the twist is I was like, I want to make a romance movie that's about the biggest assholes on the face of the planet. So it's like, they both suck. They're the worst. And I was
Right.
like, I was trying to make them as unlikable as I physically could, but you can still kind of relate to their goals.
Oh, 100%.
So it's
I
like
think a
the
lot
entire-
of assholes out there can relate to this.
So I guess while like writing the script, I was like, okay, how do I make like an exaggerated version of what someone would do in an actual relationship, like in this script,
Right.
But like turn it into like the asshole version of that, basically. And that added a lot of humor, and I'm excited to see if people like it, I guess.
I think
Yeah.
you'll get a lot of views or a lot of
Yeah.
broad audience with that, mainly because I think there's a lot of people who've been in toxic relationships.
Yeah.
And when you're in a toxic relationship, you become an asshole.
Oh, you really do.
You really do, and it's on
like,
both sides. So it's
yeah.
almost kind of it's very relatable
Exactly.
thing.
And
sure.
it's like I'm thankful to have never been in like, a toxic relationship, but it's like I've observed some people
enough.
who've been in some, and it's
fun
like
of it.
I took, little snippets of that and sprinkled it into the movie.
I think that's also important that you have that outside source of not being in one, but you've seen it.
Yeah, because you're
so
like
you
a
have
therapist.
more of an ability. Yeah, you have more of an ability
Yeah.
to poke fun of it than someone who's in it. They would take it more seriously.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
hold on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you
There's
guys what
satire
you're doing
here.
wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are dumb, and this is what's happening,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
I
so
love
hopefully
that.
people watch it and they're like, oh, I need to get out of this, And it's
Exactly.
like, that'd be kind of cool. And it's like, going back to Monsters for like a minute, it's like, that was like my first big-ish movie, I guess you could say, right? And I was a little scared to take risks at times in that one. Like, I think the script was way more out there than the actual movie ended up being at times, and like a little bit more violent at times. And I was like, on set, I was like, I don't know if I'm comfortable asking people to do that, right? And I guess like one of my goals with Vi is to like sort of deafen that out a bit and just go, this is the movie I'm making, and we're sticking to like what's written. And if you're like uncomfortable with it, just tell me and we won't do it, instead of me telling you that we won't do it. Because it's like, that's my one regret with that movie, is going, I don't really care if this movie has one demographic it appeals to as opposed to all of them. I kind of just try to appeal to a lot of people with that movie, as opposed to kind of honing in, if that makes sense. Yeah, whereas with this one, I'm like, I kind of want to hone in a little bit. Yeah, if that makes sense.
And forgive me if you've already mentioned this, but what genre are you kind of putting this under? I know you as a director, you like to kind of broaden that up a little bit, right?
I never write with like a genre in mind, but I guess like it has a lot of elements in it. It has like slasher film elements. It has like spy film elements. It has romance elements, and then like a brief sort of action period in the movie. So it's like a very broad umbrella.
There's a lot of comedic relief
there's
in
some
it, for
yeah,
sure.
there's more comedy in this one than Monsters for sure. And it's like, as far as the casting goes, it's like Kelsey from Monsters. She's gonna be, the female counterpart to Romance, and another actor you haven't met named Dan is going to be,
She's a great actress.
She is fantastic.
She is
fantastic.
fantastic.
Oh my god, I loved working with her in that movie so much, and it's like working especially with you two on set was like such a blast.
As someone who I've been a part of acting for a long time. I love acting. Working with her was so easy to be myself. Because, there's some people who it's hard to work with when you're trying to really get into character. And the character I played was a creep. You know what I mean? And
he was an asshole.
So really,
you're not an asshole.
Yeah,
though.
thank
you're
you.
Fine.
Thank you. Well,
exactly.
to really get into character and be a freaking weird creepwad and really be evil and get into that mindset and that level. And having her play off of that, I mean, she played off of that perfect.
Oh, she did.
I mean, the scene where we're in the drinking the wine.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
filming
she
that
was
scene
fantastic.
was so much fun. That
It
was.
was.
Like,
I had
one
a
of the
great
best days
time.
on the set, and it's like, the stars kind of aligned for that one, where I was like,
did.
it was really hard to find a lead actor for it. Justin came in. Loved working with Justin.
Oh, he's a great guy to work with, 100%.
Kelsey was like our second option, and now I can't see anyone else doing that role except for her.
She has that. She has that thing where, like, when I'm giving off that, for example, I'm playing the character, I'm giving off that evil energy. Like, she senses what I'm doing. Some actors, they don't have that sense of like, I don't know, I'm not the best actor by all means, but like, she has that sense of, okay, he's putting the fear in me. Yeah. And she played that so well. Like, when you look at her, when I was looking at her playing that scene, I saw real fear in her eyes.
It was awesome.
And I was like, God, you are good. I was like, you are a real actress. I was like,
she
you are not
is. And it's
bullshitting
like,
me.
I See, because this is the thing. I think every actor who's in that movie, it's like you get, and we've both worked with people like this, where it's like they think every scene is like their big break scene, no matter if it's like a high school play,
100%.
a college short film.
We got to be
like,
a team player.
This is the one that's going to get the best actor at Sundance and the awards. It's like no one in that movie was like, I'm here to win all of the Oscars. I'm just going to do, what the scene needs to be.
100%.
And no one like overplayed it. And it's like my favorite scene in the movie is the black and white 1982 scene with you, because you see you before you're an asshole, basically. And there's like almost no context to it. It's just like, yeah, this dude lives forever. Here's him when he wasn't an asshole, and this is when he started to become an asshole, And then you cut to, the first scene with you chronologically in the movie where you're the creepiest piece of shit on the face of the planet.
Which, by the way, that scene had great editing.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I loved the black and white choice. I loved the music choice, even though I know you changed it after you re-edited it.
Yeah.
I liked both the music choices, but you really made it seem sad, you editing in that. Like, the editing was great.
The composer, too. You'd love the composer. You should have him on the podcast.
Oh, 100%.
You haven't met him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, his name's Dane Schmidt. He has, like, all these synth waves. Like, he recorded the whole soundtrack for the movie on, like, physical synthesizers.
Really?
He didn't do any of it in, like, GarageBand or
Right.
Yeah, he, like, had them plugged into his computer, and he was, like, actually recording them with, like, boxes he built, basically.
That is people like that have crazy ears, man.
They
have
really
an ear,
do.
They hear stuff that we don't hear.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know how he does it, though.
Right.
Where I was like,
I was
listening to, because originally I was like, I don't want any music in this 82 scene, right? Like, none at all. And then he composed that beautiful piece of music for it with that synth wave, and I was like, it's like one of the best pieces of music I've put in a movie, And I'm like, he just fucking blew my mind, basically.
Right.
And that's like my favorite scene in the movie, honestly.
Yeah,
it
was a great
bit
scene.
right there, yeah. And Nicole Hall, who plays, the pregnant woman. You guys acted off of each other very well too, and 100%. It's like even though she was only in the movie for like that one scene, you know, it spoke volumes, and it's like you could hear it in that theater where it's like it helped people, because of the performances in that scene.
I remember recording, she was like screaming.
Yeah,
and I was
like, know.
God, like you picked some really good actors for that film, because she was like, I mean, it felt, and she was we're grabbing each other's hands, and she was like, like it felt like I've never held a woman's hand while she was giving birth, but I imagine that's very close, because she was squeezing. I'm like, oh my God, she's really into this.
Actually see you guys like elevating each other in
100%.
scenes, like in every single scene of the movie. And it's like, it's like, we'll talk about Monsters 2 for a second.
Okay.
Because the stars have to align for it to happen, right?
I hope it does.
If they don't, kind of what I want to do is I want to because I already have the whole cast in mind, to do like a Zoom call and read the script, basically.
Oh, yes.
Because that would be fun.
That would be awesome. Like they
do
did
a script
with,
read. Yeah. Because originally we were going to try to do it this October. COVID. Okay, we'll try again, next October, basically, because that's kind of when I kind of want it to not take place in the summer like the first one, take place in the fall, basically, kind of give it a different feel. But I did write more scenes for Nicole and you, so, the pregnant woman and you, to give more backstory to that moment. And the movie is split up into, like, chapters. It's like 6 chapters, so there's like an entire chapter dedicated to your character, and it's like 40 minutes long. But it's like, that movie is much more of like a straightforward, like, samurai revenge movie with superpowers,
almost
basically.
Like a Kill Bill-ish.
At times, I
can see it with the flashbacks.
For the first 30 minutes, and then it goes off on its own thing,
right.
And it becomes much more of like, a nightmare for the girl, the only survivor from the first movie, where it starts out and you're like, okay, she has superpowers now, she's gonna kick ass, it's gonna be great, you get 30 minutes of that, and then a new asshole emerges who can basically match her skill level, and then this whole sort of revenge odyssey she's already stuck herself into becomes like much more of a serious situation, and almost like a nightmarish type thing that takes place on, essentially like a countryside home, essentially, is the movie. So it's much more straightforward than the first one in terms of the plot, but it's like that's kind of the only direction you can go once that movie ends, essentially. But yeah, no, it's like, if the stars don't align, we'll do a script reading.
Okay.
Get everybody on a Zoom.
Get everybody ready. 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, I think that would be great.
It's like, even for the new characters, I'm like, I've already kind of talked to some people, and I'm like, do you want to do this? And we sort of did some, line readings over Zoom,
Right.
and it's like, okay, cool. So it's like I already have in mind, who I want. Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with other directors before, and a lot of it didn't really get out, but the one thing that I enjoy about you, not only because we're good friends, and that we have a chemistry to work together very well. I mean, I've worked with people that I'm like, oh my god, dude, I can't work with this person.
Do it,
and you probably know who I'm talking about, but we won't say names, but you know who. You have a very unique style. I think you have your own style. That's what I always appreciated about you, 100%. I always, I've always noticed that. You always try to develop your own, or you don't even try, you have your own style, right? And you always run with it.
Every time I try and, get out of that groove, it always creeps back in that project.
100%. I don't think you should get out of it.
I don't think so either.
I think you should stay with it.
I learned that the hard way a couple times. Yeah.
I think, and I'm not criticizing by all means. I think the only thing I would ever say to you was just don't ever overthink it. Because I think sometimes you do overthink.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I'm like, Joe, you're so good, don't overthink it. You know what I mean? Like, especially with the editing, I'm like, don't overthink it, because I've seen your work, and I've seen your best work, and to me, what I've seen as an observer, I could be wrong, is that your best work is always when you do not overthink. When you don't overthink, your shit is like A1, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as someone I've seen your work over the years, I've seen when you do overthink, and you will be the first to be like, I overthought this right here.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Right, for sure. Especially with Monsters, there was times when you even were like, I overthought this. When you re-edited it, and I watched the re-edited version, my God, I was impressed, dude. I was impressed.
Because you have to, watch it in the theater, feel the audience.
Feel the audience,
go,
right.
All right, cool. This is what worked. This is what didn't.
100%.
Fix it a little bit.
Right.
And it's like, I made it a tad bit longer, and then, we're good to go. And it's like...
Right.
Yeah. Because it was kind of funny, talking to people after that, right? Where it was like, half of them were like, make it shorter, and half of them were like, make it longer. And I was like... What the fuck should I do?
Well, I think it was more of you just needed to make certain points longer and certain points shorter.
Yeah,
that's you just had you had the right idea, it was just off balance. I think is what people thought.
Probably, just spent too much time on things that shouldn't have, spent time on that kind of thing.
But that all comes with time,
exactly.
Dude. That's sharpness. Yeah.
Because there is a longer cut of that movie that is significantly longer, and it's like. It's basically just for me.
Right.
It's like no one would like this.
That's art, man. That's freaking art, dude.
It is,
And you keeping that version of it is always like...
Yeah.
I mean,
can go back to it.
Yeah, you could always go back to it 100%.
It's there. And I'm like, you know what? I cut this down a lot by 30, 45 minutes, but I have this version where I'm like, I'm happy with this, I really like this, and I can watch it,
100%.
But someone else would be bored out of their gullet watching it,
Right.
It's like, you have to know what's right and what's wrong when
Right.
editing, and it's just having, a good basis to judge off of in the editing room, basically, but
100%.
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying about, actors and how no one really tried to steal the show.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing while filming, and as an actor's perspective, because to make a scene, you gotta feed off of each other.
Yeah.
It's just like improv, right?
Yeah.
If you disagree during improv, that's like the first rule of improv is you're not supposed to disagree unless it's gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're good enough, you'll know if it's gonna work, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not, you're just disagreeing. And you're just being an asshole trying to steal the show.
Exactly. Yeah.
When actors don't try to steal the show, they give if anything, they're trying to make when you have two actors trying to make each other better, like, I want him to have the show, and then the other person's like, no, I want him to have the show.
Yeah.
That's when it works, because you're literally feeding off each other's energy.
If everyone is trying to have the show, it's not going to be a good movie.
Never works, and I hate it.
The best acting is when you blend it.
Right.
That's the best.
Right.
If everyone's always on 100% full cylinders, let's get the Oscar mode, it's not going to be real.
Yeah, it's not real, and you'll know when another actor is giving you the spotlight, you take it.
Yeah.
But you don't take it out of selfishness. You take it because I'm doing my hardest. This is what my character would do.
Yeah.
You don't take it because, oh, well, I'm going to look so good. No, fuck that.
No,
you do it because, and every actor could agree on
the
that.
The scene that stands out to me is the one where you shoot Annie, Kelsey's character, right, at the roadside, is because it's like you could have just been, like, chewing the scenery in the background while she's monologuing, but you're just sort of there looking at her, and it's like the most off-putting thing on the face of the planet, right? Because you're getting this sort of confrontation between these two people who are in a relationship, right? Is confrontations needed to happen because the situation's ridiculous, and you're like, you know what? Maybe they'll just split apart and there'll be, some resolve here, but you're just there in the background, and just like the tension in that shot, and just like sitting on that one take, it's just fucking fantastic. So you knew exactly what to do there.
Right.
It's just stand there and be a dick,
right,
without saying anything, and it's just the presence of that rocked,
right,
and that's one of my favorite shots in the movie, just from a performance standpoint, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's the thing. Like you just gotta, and I Kelsey and all the other actresses and actors on there, I thought were great at it. With they never wanted to steal the show. They just always wanted everyone to do better. You know what I mean? I don't know. With that shot, for example, I mean, with my character's, it's not going to be any good interrupting everyone and trying to improv and trying to.
That's not the character.
That's not the character. My character isn't a dickhead. He's a sit back, suave. And if it was that type, but even if it was that type, you gotta have. I mean, the scene, and in that part, what I would say to that is that the scene was really about those two feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
And as an actor, you got to understand,
you were the conduit, they were the...
Exactly. Yeah. They were the center of the scene. As an actor, I'm like, well, you got to realize, hey, I don't have any lines right here. How am I going to do my best? Well, doing my best, what would my character do? My character would just sit here tensely being an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't have any lines, so I got to be the best background asshole I can be and make the scene more intense while making them better. Because if I'm tense over here playing my character, they're going to feed off that, and they're going to have a great... They're going to feed off each other greatly.
Oh, yeah.
And they did, by the way. They really did.
Yeah.
God, I loved every actor on that set.
I did, too.
Even the extras, man,
I know.
were wonderful.
They were fun.
They were very fun people. And they're never... well, I want to do this. No, they just always were, okay, I'll do it, and they had fun.
No,
we had fun.
It's like the funniest moment in the entire fucking movie. And it was even, like, in the theater, too. It got laughs. Because it's not a funny movie, but you need some humor.
100%.
Because it was a spur-of-the-moment thing, right, with William, right, with the axe.
Right.
Where he was, like,
throwing
everyone
the axe,
has guns in the scene, and I have a fucking axe. What the hell am I supposed to do with this thing? And in a wide shot, he's like, fuck it, I'm going to throw it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, we're doing something with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like, we have to, because that's great. And there's like a whole second or two dedicated to him just throwing the thing. And it's ridiculous.
That. Yeah.
And you're like, it's just kind of funny. And there's like a little levity to it,
Well, I remember him throwing it, and I was like, everyone just laughed. Like, oh my God. But like, he did a really good job acting in character, because he was like, his face was all out. I was like, damn, that was good, dude. Yeah. Like, that was really good.
And then I was like, okay, we got to do something with this. We can't just, like, waste this shit, And so, we did, and it was great. Right. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, we had a really great time.
I know.
And, dude, the staying out till, 3 in the morning was awesome.
It was fun.
I mean, that is what you live for.
Some people didn't like it. I liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Because times where I just keep working and be like, oh shit, it's like 4 a.m.
Yeah, I think it was 4 a.m. We got some donuts afterwards. It was great.
Yeah,
dude.
it was awesome.
Oh, it was amazing. It sucked that one time we couldn't even film that day. Well, we filmed a little bit. The rain happened.
The rain.
Oh,
Fuck
that was
the rain.
awful.
That was the first
day
we
out
at
to go eat.
that location. That fucking restaurant.
Oh,
Jesus.
I know. God, they fucking charged me up the ass for just a little bit of tacos. I'm like, dude, these aren't even that good.
It rained, and then we got ripped off for food, and we didn't
100%.
get to shoot anything because of the rain. And I was like, I got there, and I was like, this scene's gonna take more than one day to shoot. We can't have it be raining on one day.
Yeah.
And, not raining on the other days. Like, that'd be fucking bullshit, right? If we can guarantee rain on every day, cool, let's go for it. But we couldn't, And it's like, that's just the sad thing about it. Because, like, I do think that shootout would have been really cool in the rain. But
100%. I
can't guarantee rain every day. Yeah.
Hopefully the stars align and I can be a part of it.
Hopefully.
And obviously, I'm always down to be a part of whatever movie. And I'm not even just acting, just helping out. Because I believe in you 110%.
Of course. And it's like, I have another project I want to shoot next summer, right? That's not Vi. And it's like, I do have a role in mind for you. And, you know, once
100%. Well, let me know, dude.
I will,
yeah. Yeah, if I don't move, I want to move to Texas.
Yeah.
Just to get out, man. And I don't know how long I'll be. I probably won't be there too long, but I might be. Try some stand-up comedy down there.
You should.
Austin, Texas is pretty big in stand-up comedy. I didn't realize it, and it has a big comedy ring going on.
Right on.
I want to try that, but you know.
I mean, hey, save some money and see. You know,
when
the dust settles in 2020, just see where you are. That's kind of what I does. God, I do too.
I hope it settles.
I really do.
I hope it settles, man. I feel like humans, they get immune to things. I mean, our bodies are crazy, right? We have to get immune to diseases. We just have to. It's part of life. So I'm sure in a year or so we would get immune to this disease, but I don't know, man.
We can't predict it. There's no way we can, and it's like I learned it the hard way. But I'm like, don't make big financial moves in 2020.
Yeah.
Because you will get fucked in the butt, like immediately after
by
you
a big
do it.
big dildo.
By a big dildo, and I was just
big
like,
black one with veins on it.
Exactly,
and balls.
And that's kind of what happened. Where I was like, I was like, I bought a new camera, and I was like, great. And then my car was like, fuck you, Joe.
And that's
and I was like, and this
in.
is why you don't make financial decisions in 2020. And I'm like, I'm just gonna wait, wait it out.
Yeah.
Because it's like more than likely 2020 is gonna end with Joe Jorgensen being our president, and then we're not in the UN anymore. And it's like,
hey, man,
who knows? That could
happens,
happen. Who
whatever,
fucking knows?
Man, I try to. It's funny. I know I need to register to vote. I haven't yet. I'm probably gonna. I don't know if it's too late or not. They asked. I was at the DMV today. They asked me to, and I just was like, after watching the debate last night, I look at her. I go, no.
You gotta vote green, man.
I gotta vote green. I know. The debate last night was hilarious.
Oh God.
It was like watching a comedy.
Yeah, it was
stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I will say, as much as I mean, you know, I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Biden.
Yeah.
I will say about, well, Biden showed some sass, like you said.
He did, yeah.
And it was pretty funny, especially
his eyes opened a little wider than they normally do.
Yeah,
and I was like, holy shit, he's not asleep.
Yeah, he's not asleep, and it was funny. But what Trump should have probably been a stand-up comedian.
Trump should shut up.
Yeah, he definitely should shut up. He interrupted
him
way too much.
This isn't even a debate anymore. Every time Joe Biden opened his mouth, Trump would just be like, "You're a fucking idiot." Here's what I think, and I was just like, "Really?"
100%.
It wasn't a debate.
There was times, and even I was like, "Trump, shut!" Like, don't get me wrong. I wanted to hear what both of them had to say, absolutely, but
both of them had nothing to say because he kept interrupting.
He did. He kept interrupting.
And then the moderator would have to just be like, "Guys, break it up.
Yeah.
Next topic." And I'm like, "But they didn't even answer anything about this topic."
I hope the next one. I hope someone talks to him from his party and is like, "Trump, dude, you got to be quiet." Because even I was
People
watching
are
it, and I was like,
leaving him
"Dude,
for
just
Joe Jorgensen.
let me listen to Biden." And don't get me wrong, I don't like either one. I'm not voting for you. I just want to hear what, because if one of them gets elected, I want to know what to expect.
Yeah.
So I want to hear it, and I don't want. Trump's taking the cake, and I'm like, dude, let him talk.
I think before the debates, it was basically a 50-50 shot at whether or not we had Biden or Trump as the president of the United States in 2021. Right. After these debates, I'm like, I don't see Trump being the president in 2021.
Really?
Yeah, because, like, there are Republicans who watched that who aren't, you know, his hardcore fans.
Right.
Who are like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
You know? And now they're looking into, you know, Joe Jorgensen, who's basically Trump if he wanted to legalize weed and leave the UN. It's like, that's who she is.
Right.
They're basically the same. Right? And so I think what's going to happen, I hate the electoral college, or the electoral college, whatever the fuck it's called. It's an outdated piece of shit system, right?
I hate the two-party system.
I hate that too.
I don't understand it.
I don't either. I'm like, if there's the Green and
divides us.
Libertarians, I agree with the Green Party more than the Libertarians. They should be in the debates. They should be on all the ballots in all 50 states. You know, it's like...
Right. I don't think we should have 4 parties. I think we should just have one... You know what I mean? I feel like if there's just one thing going on, one party, it's just 2 people.
Yeah.
Here's your beliefs. Here's your beliefs.
It should be for options.
Right.
You know? And it's like, I think it should be based on the majority, not the electoral or the electoral college. Because it's like, I've had so many people try to explain to me why we should keep it, right? And I don't understand. It's because they're like, it's so smaller voices are heard. And I'm like, see, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? It's because if it's based on the majority, right? If you're from some, butt-fuck nowhere, Missouri, and you vote, you're just a number on top of a pile, right? So it's like, smaller voice has been heard.
Right.
A number went to this person. I don't understand why we need to keep it, right?
Yeah. And you know what's weird? Most people our age, besides Tyler says that we should keep it because he thinks that if there was more, it would divide us any more. And I see where he's coming from that. I always say, like, fuck it. Let's just, I'm a dumbass when it comes to politics, but it's like, just have them say what they gotta say and be real, but that never happens.
I'm informed and I have opinions, but I'm not smart about it, if that makes sense.
100%.
It's like, I read my shit,
Same,
I pay attention,
same.
I listen to speeches. It's like, I read all the news sources. I don't just go, alright, CNN, I'll take your word for it. I'm like, I read the BBC, Fox, CNN.
Oh, they're both terrible, I think.
BBC is like the most even shit, because they're just commentating.
Have you watched? I think it's pretty much it wouldn't be a podcast. They're basically reporters. They're online. One's a little more left, one's a little more right, but they're like normal people. They're like you and I. Yeah, one person might be left, one person might be right, but they're pretty moderate, like 90% of America, and they debunk things. They're not biased. They're not with the bullshit media, left or right.
Yeah.
Because both sides are bullshit. They pull bullshit, and they're very. I can't remember what they're called. I gotta look them up, but they're really good. I enjoy them. I gotta find them. It's a guy and a girl. The girl's left, the guy's right. They both worked for like Fox. One worked for CNN, and they both were like. They were friends. They both were like, fuck these guys. Yeah. We're doing our own thing because we agree with each other, even though we might be on different sides. But we still agree with each other a lot. And stuff like that, that's real, brings us together more. That's why I like podcasting because, dude, I feel like if the debate was actually on a podcast,
it would be pretty chill.
It would be pretty chill having some normal person debate it. Don't get me wrong, I love Joe Rogan. I don't think he should debate that. I think you should have someone else, like those guys. Yeah. Those two debate it. Be the, what is it called? The commentator or whatever.
Just keep going.
You know what I mean.
I do.
If they had someone like that, those two people, rather one time be the girl, one time be the guy, one time be left, one time be right person, whatever. And just be like, no, I want to know. I want real shit. I want real. I don't want these 2-minute questions that you can't answer.
And
you
have
can't
an
solve.
Asshole who's talking over the
right,
other
exactly.
One, all of them. And it's like,
what
the fuck, man?
That really did make me a little bit irritated at Trump. I was like, dude, shut up and let him talk. I want to hear him talk. And I think sometimes Trump had good points. Sometimes Biden had good points. You know what I mean? About each other, and I was like,
this is the thing. I don't even know who won the fucking thing.
I don't know who won it because there was no.
No, Trump kind of ruined the whole thing weirdly. It's because I'm like, Biden didn't get a chance to talk.
He really didn't. Well, that's like kind of his plan, right? He's trying not to get him to talk, so no one knows what his plan is. So people would vote for him.
Biden honestly did what I do in Facebook arguments, where it's like, I'll just post something and some dickhead will just give me a paragraph about why I'm wrong and he's right, and I'll just text back K. And then he'll give me 6 more paragraphs, right? And then maybe I'll give him a GIF, and I'll do another couple. And then
I've seen it on Facebook.
I do that on Facebook. And then I'm like, this guy just looks like a jackass now. Yeah, it's because I don't care. Yeah. And he assumed I cared, and I'm like, dude, I don't care what your opinion is, but you're a jackass who thinks I'm going to read all this shit, right? And it's like, that's honestly what Joe Biden did. It's where he just sit there and go, you're the worst president ever. And be like, no, I'm not. And then just go on.
He goes on.
And I was like, holy shit, he's doing what I do on Facebook. Like, he looks like a jackass now. And that was fucking awesome. And it's like, the other thing is it's like, Did you see the advertisements for the debate? Like
I
on
didn't watch any.
They straight up advertised it like it was a fucking wrestling match or some shit.
Did they really?
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's like two angry pictures of Trump and Biden with like a lightning bolt between them, and the red and
It was
blue.
pretty much a freaking wrestling match, man.
Like
they were like, I like I said, I go back to Trump upset me with him talking over. I was like, dude, shut. Like I literally was
Let
like,
this be a debate
right,
so I can pick who I'm voting for.
Right, exactly.
And then afterwards, I'm like, fuck it. Howie Hawkins time, baby. And it's
Howie Hawkins time,
Fuck
both of you.
Fuck both of you.
You know, I always say this. Like, I would like someone with the business skill and the unfiltered, not fully unfiltered like how Trump is, but that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That business skill, the business knowledge that Trump has. However,
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for president
that's
of the
what I'm
United
saying.
States. Yeah,
someone
I'd vote for him. Exactly.
Who cares about the economy and who has good ideas for the economy. However, has what Trump doesn't have, and that's empathy. That is, because that's my biggest problem.
He does not give a fuck about.
Well, because he wasn't poor. He's never been middle class or poor. He doesn't know what it's like to struggle.
He doesn't pay fucking taxes.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he kind of like stuttered on that a little bit.
I pay more taxes than him. It's like, it's fucking crazy.
Right.
And I'm like, he blatantly lied about his fucking taxes in the debate, and I was like, dude, your taxes leaked. Everyone knows what your taxes are. You didn't pay that much.
Yeah,
and I was
most of those billionaires don't.
No,
right?
they don't.
I don't.
Still.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah. No, it is ridiculous.
It is,
I think it's unfair. But the thing that I get to is that, like I said, you have someone with the business knowledge that Trump has, someone who people would like, as in
we need ethical business knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ethical. Someone like for example, I read 50 Cent, the rapper, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
He's a great businessman.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
Yeah.
When you read his book, I mean, he reminds you of a business, not like Trump, but like a hard business guy. Like, no, we're doing this. No, we're doing that. No, we're getting this done.
Yeah.
A go-getter, right? But he has empathy. Why? Because he was raised in Jamaica, Queens, in the hood, where he had nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? He knows what it's like to be broke. He knows what it's like to suffer. He has empathy towards people. Because like when Trump, when they mention about the Black Lives Matter and Proud Boys, if someone with that knowledge on the Republican Party would have been like, no, we shouldn't support Proud Boys. I do support equality for race.
Yeah.
We need to figure out, to end systemic racism. Someone who has that knowledge, but also is like, well, we need to fix these social issues as well.
Yeah.
Trump doesn't give a shit about social issues, which is another big problem with him. Yeah.
Yeah, is he just goes, fuck it.
Yeah.
Guns, babies, economy.
Right.
These are the three things we're going to care about.
Right. Which, don't get me wrong.
People, get the fuck out. Jesus exists, you'll be fine. And it's like, that's like
which is
all
catering
to
his people, right?
Yeah.
You know?
And if I'm being, okay, so this year, right, this is the first year ever where I am pumped out of my goddamn mind for the vice presidential debate.
I'm listening. I just gotta answer this real quick. This text.
The vice presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Pence is going to be the greatest television event of all time, Luke. It's going to rock.
Yeah.
Yep. Because, Kamala Harris has made people cry in debates before.
She's quick.
She's
very quick.
Fucking tough as hell. Mm-hmm. And it's like, here's the thing. Pence is my least favorite person in politics.
Yeah, he's a pretty big dickhead.
He's the main reason why I'm not voting Trump is because most likely if Trump gets reelected, Pence will be our president for a bit, right? I fucking hate the guy. Right. They both have very similar backgrounds, right? And it's going to be like the clash of the fucking titans, right? I'm not a big Kamala Harris fan, but she can debate.
Not either.
It's
right.
like,
it's
going to be insane.
And
I am excited.
Yeah, I am too. I've seen her debate, and I was like, God, she is eating them up alive, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Pence debate, so I don't know how that's gonna go. But I think they're both hard-nosed people, and it's gonna be very.
We have a black woman who cares very much so about where she comes from.
Right.
And we have this guy who believes that conversion therapy should be a thing.
Right.
And when HIV was a thing, you could pray it away.
You could pray it away. Pray away the gay.
I'm like Pence. Yeah, and it's like.
I know, he's too
You're going to get those two people debating.
Right, 100%.
And polar opposites, right? The Trump-Biden one, two old people who are kind of different, right? This one's like two younger-ish people who are still kind of old,
Yeah.
but similar backgrounds,
Middle-aged.
and they can both
Yeah,
debate. Like it's gonna be good.
More
yeah.
real.
It's
Well,
next
not real,
Wednesday.
but yeah.
It's next Wednesday.
Well, didn't Kamala Harris, like, isn't there a video, and I could be wrong because of media, but isn't there a video of her talking about, like, locking up black people or something like that? I know there was something about that. I don't know.
She was, like, she was a lawyer at one point.
Yeah.
And she was also a judge at another point.
Right.
And it's like, a lot of people said that she was a police officer, and I'm like, no, she was a lawyer.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I haven't looked into that part too much. The main reason why I'm a little iffy on her is her political stances change every 15 seconds, so she's kind of a wild card. But, yeah.
See, because if that's the case, if that's true, where, like, she really does have something to do with the racial injustice in this country, that is where that turns, because I keep hearing a lot about it, and I don't know. You know what I mean? But when I keep hearing stuff about it, I'm like, God, that's fucked. It seems like both sides, one side seems like they care about racial injustice, but at the end of the day, they really are just saying that to get a vote.
Probably.
The one side just totally does not give a shit about racial injustice.
Biden definitely picked her because, I'm not sure, like, to appease black voters.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Honestly, when he picked her, I was like, since all of your campaigning is online, I genuinely think that's a bad choice.
Right.
Because of how much dirt you can dig up on Kamala Harris with one Google search and find out how flimsy her opinions are.
Yeah.
And she might have had something to do with racial injustices.
Right.
I think if he really wanted to appeal to young voters, he would have picked Elizabeth Warren as his VP.
Right.
Elizabeth Warren is who I would have voted for if she was the Democratic nominee, because I like her way more than that Howie motherfucker. Right?
Yeah.
It's like a big Elizabeth Warren fan. I think she's a smart lady, because like she's even tweeting about the whole Black Lives Matter thing, right? And she does it in such a way where it's like not causing a debate, right?
Yeah.
Because if like the George Floyd thing, everyone was on the same page.
For like 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Tyler Ruzick one, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have something to say about that, because the second we started saying, defund the police, is when shit started hitting the fan.
That is very true.
Elizabeth Warren, in her tweets, has said, readjust how the financing works.
Yeah. And
because that appeals to everybody. Because if you hire social workers to work for the police that are there in the cars to deal with social disputes that are non-violent, and the police officer waits in the car to, like, assist, and we put funds towards that, it's like, that appeals to everybody.
Yeah.
You still have your police officers, and you still have a peaceful solution, and you have, a backup net if that peaceful solution goes awry, then you have, an armed officer.
Right.
And it's like, that's how she's wording it.
Yeah.
And
Do you
I'm
think
like,
that would be realistic, though?
Yeah, I do. Because it's like, we put so much money into, like, the lethal side of it.
Oh,
right?
100%.
And
I
it's
don't
like,
think we
even
should.
if we cut that in half, you still have enough to, like, let's just say there is a violent situation, they need guns. They need guns, right? They just do. It's like, but if you put less funding towards that and more funding towards, because more than likely if a police officer gets called, it's for a social dispute.
Right.
Hire social workers, basically have a police officer be a bodyguard for a social worker.
Right, but to even cause more of the root of that, because I see where people come from with the social worker, having a social worker with them. It might give social workers more work, right? Because there's probably not a lot of work for social workers.
I read a post where they're like, what if we had different numbers for different situations?
Right.
Like, that's stupid. Keep it to one. You call one, you get the fire department, you get the police. You get the ambulance, right?
Well, and like I said with Tyler, if you look at people who are in the military and how they act and how they present themselves, is so different from a police officer. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's good police officers out there.
There's assholes everywhere.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But there's police officers who know how to deflect a situation, how to not be scared of someone, particularly being scared of a black person, or just being scared of someone if they want to reach over to get something. You know what I mean?
Like,
if you look at Navy SEALs, Marines, people in the military, they're trained very well to not react like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're trained to be like, for one, deflect situations.
Yeah.
They're trained to, if I did this to a Navy SEAL, he would do what you're doing. He's very calm.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's trained.
Exactly.
A cop who's not well trained, who police officers even say, if I did this, oh, get out your gun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, dude, I'm just getting my license, man.
It literally
you know?
requires less school to become a police officer than it does to become a hairstylist.
Which is bullshit.
Which is insane.
You know, it takes 13 weeks of training to become a Marine, right? I believe 13 weeks. I could be wrong. Don't cancel me. I could be wrong.
It also takes more time to become a tattoo artist as opposed to a police officer.
And it's like,
so
and when
it's
you see
that's a problem. Like,
how
really
many police officers do you see overweight? Not like that has a big thing to do with it.
In my humble opinion, becoming a police officer should take the same amount of time as becoming a lawyer, because you are becoming a part of the legal system. I think the only legal job, party that should remain the way it is in terms of how you get hired as a paralegal, which, if you didn't know, does not require college experience.
Right.
But it helps to find a job if you have the college experience.
That makes sense. I think other countries do that, don't they? Where they go through a college system.
It's like, literally what we need to do is, it's like, the whole divide happened when people started saying defund the police. Is because then, like, the Republicans were like, well, no, you can't do that. Right. And then it was like, all lives matter, because keep the police, so we can defend all the lives, and then it's like, that's when that happened.
The divide
and it's
happened,
like, then people are like, well, Black Lives Matter only mean Black lives only matter, not all lives matter.
Yeah, people misconstrue that.
No, we're in reverse racism. I'm like, no, because I'm a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's like, there's been a lot of Republicans who are like, they're looting, therefore they're terrorists. I'm like, much like the police, there are assholes in every group. And I'm like, I'm sorry that happened. I'm a supporter of the movement, and I have not looted.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's
it's like, I apologize for that asshole. I have not done that.
Right.
And it's like,
there's some people who take it too far, and that just that just want to break shit and have that mob mentality.
Yeah.
Just like there is with police, there's some people that just want to. They either got bullied or they were a bully and they want to keep being a bully, and they just have a a penis and want to bully you.
I think in the next 4 to 8 years, we're going to see a lot of change in the police department.
I think so too.
Yeah. Especially, I don't think it'll be as instant if Trump gets elected again, but the next person.
Right.
Because, it goes Democrat, Republican, in terms of how we elect people. It's like, I do think Warren's going to run again in 2024, and I think she'll probably be the nominee, and I think she'll probably get elected.
Right.
And it's like, with the way she talks, I think that's probably going to be her number one selling point, and she's going to knock it out of the park,
My thing with the police, I think they need at least 13 weeks. I think they need to be trained just like how we train our military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put them through boot camp.
It takes longer to become an officer than it does a SEAL, I think.
Oh, or I don't think so. No, it takes way longer to be a SEAL because you got to go through training, and then you got to go through. And I could be wrong. You got to go through the Navy, and then you got to sign up.
How long it takes
yeah, go
to
ahead,
become a
Google it.
police officer.
Google it so that way
I
we're right.
I know it's a ridiculously short amount.
Oh,
of time.
it's like I think it's only like 6 weeks, if even that. It's no, I do not agree with that at all. I think that they should be trained similar to.
See, I'm not a politics, so I don't have it
Right.
memorized.
Well,
how long does it take?
Well, I'm talking about a Navy SEAL, like in the military, like to become a Marine. I think that if you.
There it is.
How long does it take to become a Marine?
It takes 13 to 19 weeks to become a police officer.
13 to 19,
and
okay.
You said it takes 13 weeks
to become
a SEAL, right?
A SEAL,
or
no, not a SEAL, a Marine.
So it's already the same amount of time.
Well, actually, no, it's not because Marines, that's just their boot camp, and then they got to go through other training.
Yeah.
Then like another. So, in the training specifically. We need to redo. It needs to be like how the military is what I think.
Like there's a bunch of points we need to hit on. It's like we need to hire more diverse police officers.
100%.
Right.
And then he'd be training while working.
Exactly.
When I was a lifeguard, you were a lifeguard too, right? Oh, you weren't?
No,
okay. When I was a lifeguard,
no.
at one place, we trained every day. We worked. And I'll tell you what, if someone, and I know this is like, it shouldn't be comparable, but and when I worked for Lenexa, we trained 30% of the time. Yeah. That's how much cops should be training, because this is the thing. If a kid jumped in the water, I knew what to do.
Exactly.
And that's saying we never had a problem with that.
It's like the police fixing them because it's like there have been a couple, not all of the Black Lives Matter people, me included, there have been a couple of them who have been like, abolish the police. And I'm like, no state's gonna swing for that.
Yeah, no one's gonna do that.
You gotta settle for fixing it. Because we're not gonna defund them, because more than likely what's gonna happen is they're gonna redirect the funds to create new departments within the police, because it'd be too much work to cut funding. Right? And I think a lot of people are gonna get pissy if that happens, because they'll be like, taking money
I was
away
about to say, don't you think
Yeah.
there'd be more? They create more assholes, I feel like, if
They
you defund the
would, but
police.
it's what needs to happen, because it's like you need to hire social workers, you need to increase the amount of training it takes to become an officer.
100%.
And you need to hire more diverse police officers, so that way it's like you have a 50-50 shot of being pulled over by any demographic, right? And so it's like, those are the pillars, right? And we're not going to get into body cams, because we got to cut it short, I guess, soon.
Right. Well, I think all police officers should definitely have a body cam on them.
What should happen is if you shut off the body cam, even if, you know, nothing shady is happening, you're out of the job for a month without pay.
That's probably a good idea.
The only way to get people to keep that fucking thing on is to fuck with their money.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Yeah. So it's like, do you still work at Target or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, let's just say you guys had a similar system at Target, where I don't know what it would be. It's like you have two options, right? Right one and a wrong one. They're like, the wrong one, you can do your job easier, but you kind of have to bullshit some things. And there's like a definitive way your job knows you're going to do that, right? And so let's just say you did that, and they're like, cool, you're out of the job for a month and a half without pay. Have fun, we'll see you later.
Right.
It's like, would you do it, you know, the longer, harder way that would get the job done a lot more, you know, correctly?
Right.
You'd do that every time.
Right.
Because
100%.
the way to communicate with people is to fuck with
their money. 100%.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's like, how do you fix a racist police officer? You fuck with his money.
Right.
Like, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's one thing is, like, they should definitely keep their body cams on. I mean, that's just irresponsible not having a body cam on.
No.
And, like I said,
completely.
Overall, I think everyone can agree they need more training. 100% more training. I mean, if you had someone train for 2 years versus 13 weeks, I'm going to go with the guy who had 2 years.
A police officer in, like, a fourth of the time it would take you to be able to work at a fucking Great Clips.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, that...
And they fuck up my hair, so you fuck up your job, right?
3 to 4 years to become a hairstylist.
And even good police officers will say, we need more training. We need more training, and we need to be training while doing it. You know what I mean? And even when... And I'll touch on this thing one more time, is that, like, when I see really obese police officers. Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm not trying to fat shame here, but let's be real. You are supposed to be a train. Would you be? Are you supposed to be fat in the military? Would they let you be fat in the military? No. You know what I mean? What if in the military, if you accidentally shoot someone you're not supposed to be, what happens? You go to Leavenworth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to jail.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when a police officer accidentally shoots someone, it seems to be like, oh, a big debate. It's like, no, if they accidentally shoot someone...
You shoot someone, you're not a cop anymore.
Yeah, you're an asshole.
Pretty basic, yeah.
Right.
It's like, there's just some basic shit we need to put in place.
Right,
and I don't know why this basic shit wasn't done, like, months ago, you know?
I don't know either.
And I'm like, why the fuck didn't we take care of this?
Right, all right. Well, we got to wrap that up, unfortunately.
There we go.
I love you, Joe.
I'd like to come back sometime when we can review some movies.
We're going to review some more movies. I need to go see Tenet.
You do need to see Tenet.
I'm going to see Tenet this week, and next week we'll review it. How about that? Sounds good.
Yeah.
Be ready, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll go with you if I'm free while you see it.